Alright, so today we're going to learn about circumference and circles. And the first thing with the circle and circumference is you have to figure out what perimeter is. Perimeter is, I'll just type it in here, the distance around the outside of a shape. You can make it better and say enclosed shape. So today we're going to learn about the circle and the distance around it. So we're going to learn about the distance around it, which is called the circumference. We're also going to learn about diameter, which is from one end to another. And then we're also going to learn about the radius, which is half the diameter. Okay. And then the center point. Okay. But first you have to learn perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around the outside of the enclosed shape. So perimeter, so all around the outside. So you're just going to add. So there's 1, 8, plus 8 is 16, plus another 8 is 24, plus another 8 is 32, plus another 8 is 40. So this is 40 centimeters. You can also notice that the 8's repeat. So you can do 8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 times 5. Notice that these numbers on the perimeter of this triangle aren't the same, so you can't multiply, you're going to have to add. So 3.5 plus 5 is 8.5, plus 4 is 12.5. So that's 12.5 inches. So that's perimeter, distance around the shape. So we go and we want to know some things about a circle. So what you need to understand is on the line that's curved are all points, because a point is made up of a line. So if we talk about it, so all of these are made up of little points. So from one side to another, it's called the diameter. Let's make sure the diameter goes through about the center of the circle. Make my line a little bit better. Okay, and then the radius is half of that, so let's just do the radius. Purple, half of that. And then the distance around it is called a circle. So, your definitions, if you want, this would be the perfect time to write them in a notebook if you want. So a circle is a set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from the center. So if we go back to our picture, all of these would be the same distance from the center. That means the radius, if I draw my radius in purple to this point right here, be the same radius in purple over here, which would be the same in here. So all three of these points on my line are going to be the same distance away from the center of the circle. And then your next definition is the diameter, is the distance across the circle that passes through the center. So let's draw another circle so we don't have to reference, go behind. So here's another circle. If you noticed, let me erase that. Notice as I draw my circle, the center point, so they're all equal distance to the center point. So if I stop right there, my center point disappears. So my center point, let's see right there. So the diameter crosses through the center point of it. So from one side to the next, cross through the center, so that would be my diameter. The distance from one side to the other through the center of the circle. And then our next definition, again, at any point, stop and write these down, is radius, the distance from the center to any point. So diameter is from one side, one point, to the other side point. Radius is about, only stops at the center. So if I take the radius from this point, it stops at the center. choose a different color so you can see it. Stops at the center. Whoa. So it stops at the center. Let's say this point, find the radius, stop at the center. It doesn't go all the way through. This point, stop at the center. Or diameter, if I choose my diameter in blue again, it's going to start from one point, go to the center, but keep going to the other side. So that's the difference between diameter and radius. And that's all the definitions we have. We're gonna learn about circumference, which is gonna be on another slide, and circumference is the distance all the way around. So it's the perimeter of a circle. So the first step is we're gonna find diameter of each circle. So diameter is the whole distance from one side to the other, but right now, if you look, we only have half of that. So what we have right here is called the radius. So diameter is twice that, so it's 2 times r. Because what diameter is, if I just draw a line right by it, it goes from the center to the other side. So we only have one side to the center, so we got to get this other side right here. So we got to double it, because this is what we call a radius. So this is going to be 2 times 7, which means that whole radius is 14 meters. Same thing for this. So we only have a radius for the blue circle. So that's 9.6. So we got to essentially attach to the other side, which would be another 9.6, which would be 2 times 9.6, which would be 19.2 inches. So again, I suggest you pause this video at any time and try the next one and then go back to it. So again, so that's the radius. So then that would be 2 times the radius, because we got to get to the other side of the circle. So that'd be 2 104ths. So 2 times 104 would be 208 millimeters. So that's how to find diameter. It's twice your radius. So how to find the radius of a circle, if you're given diameter. So you take this, if this whole entire line is 20 and you only want half of it, you take the diameter and divide by 2. So diameter over 2 is your radius. So 20 divided by 2 would make this radius 10 and the right radius 10. So it divides that in half. So this radius is only 10 feet. You're essentially dividing the diameter by 2. So 36 divided by 2, so that would be 18 centimeters, and then 12.5 divided by 2 would be 6.25 inches. Okay, so that's radius. Take the diameter, cut in half. So if the diameter of a circle is 16 centimeters, find the radius. So that means you have a circle with a diameter, let me draw it in black, from one point to the other, which is 16. So you want half of that. So then 16 divided by 2 would be 8 centimeters. Radius of a circle is 9 yards. Find the diameter, which means if I draw a circle, it's only saying my radius, so only to my center, that's 9 yards. So if I want the whole thing, it's another 9 added to the other side. So 9 times 2 is 18. So that'd be 18 yards. Now we're talking about circumference, which is the distance around a circle, which is the perimeter. So we're going to have big circles and little circles right here. So it's all the same. You're going to have a distance around the circle. Some are just going to have bigger answers, so bigger distances. Distance around the circle and distance around the circle. So in order to find the circumference, you're going to need to know radius and you're going to need to know diameter. You're going to need to know the difference between the two. So again, when it's asking for circumference, it's just asking for the distance around. So you're going to need a radius, you need a diameter, and then you're going to need to know something called pi. And I suggest you go and watch this YouTube video about what pi is. But pi really is 3.14159. It's an irrational number, so it's never ending. And what pi is the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. So for any circle, dividing its circumference by its diameter will give you the exact numbers for pi every time, and that's what's so clever about a circle. So how do you calculate circumference? It's going to be pi times diameter, but also you can have this ratio radius as well, so pi times 2 pi r, depending on what's given. So circumference is pi times diameter or pi times 2 times radius. In this case, please don't type out all the numbers for pi. It's literally never ending. So use 3.14 as pi. So if we want to find the circumference, which means if I trace it in green, we're going to find the outer edge of this disc for disc golf. So we're given radius. So we're going to do 2 pi times r since we're given radius. Or you can change this radius into diameter, which means that is 2 pi times diameter. Either way, it's going to give you about the same answer. So 2 pi r, so if I use radius, my radius for the sliding disc is 5, so 2 pi 5. And then if I use diameter, it's 2 pi times 10. Oh no, sorry, it's just pi times 10. So either way, you're going to get the same answer, which is going to be 31.4. Which is going to be 31.4. And then inches. So that's the distance around the circle. Right? And then find the distance around the circle, which is the circumference. So right now we are given diameter. So the best formula for it to use is is pi times diameter. For circumference. So pi is 3.14 times the diameter, since I'm given diameter, which is 28. So 3.14 times 28. So that is 87.92 millimeters. So that's for circumference. Again, going back to the slide, circumference is going to be pi times diameter or pi times 2r, depending on what you're given. So for the first one, I was given just radius. I would then use the 2 pi r. For the second one, I was given the whole diameter, so I just used pi times diameter. Okay, and that's your lesson for this week.